Hey Hornets, Coach Jason here. I wanted to do a quick video on our offensive rotations. We're going to practice these in practice, but wanted to put a video up there so that you can go back and reference it and make sure you know where you're supposed to be. It might be confusing for some, so I figured I'd give you something that you can look at. Let's go ahead and get started. What we have here is our volleyball court. You'll notice the thick black line at the top is the net. And then the thin blue line there is the 10-foot line. So we've got 6 players on the court at all times. And this initial lineup is an offensive lineup. And it's essentially what we're calling our service rotation lineup. So this is the positions, when I submit a lineup card, this is the positions that we're going to show on that lineup card. If we're serving the ball, we're going to be in this formation. And if we are not serving the ball in this initial rotation, we're going to go into a defensive lineup, which is our serve-receive lineup. One of the things that you'll notice is the hitter and the blocker that were in the 4 and 3 positions moved back behind the 10-foot line. The reason for this is because only the setter can be in front of the 10-foot line when we are in serve-receive position. So the other team has the ball, they're getting ready to serve to us. Only our setter can be in front of the 10-foot line up on the net. Once they serve the ball, though, all of our front row players go back to where they're supposed to be, and that's pretty much it. You'll notice that we've got numbers here, and those numbers are the serving order. So, the position number 1 is the first to serve. Then after we rotate, we'll rotate clockwise. Then the player that was in position 2 is going to move back to the setter position, so they're the second to serve, and so on and so on. These numbers aren't necessarily assigned to the players. What I've done here is I've thrown up some lines so you can divide the court into little zones. So think of the numbers in terms of these zones rather than the actual player position. So we talk about player positions, that's like a hitter, a blocker, a setter. What we're really talking about are court positions when we talk about these numbers. So the numbers are assigned to the court positions and not the players. So you see how each number is in a box. Those are really when I talk about position player moving into position 3, that player is going to move up into that box area. All right. So having said all that, those are kind of the basic. Let's talk about what is the 6-2. Really, what that means, the 2 and 6-2 means that we're going to have 2 setters in the rotation. You can see there the 2 setters. And what this does for us is that we're going to have them lined up opposite of each other. And so whenever we rotate, we're always going to have a setter in the front row no matter what position, no matter what rotation we're in. So the key things to remember here is only the setter in the front row sets. So the setter in the back row is just going to play like a normal back row defensive player. Only the players, and we'll talk about shifting in a minute, but only the players in the front row are going to shift positions. Back row, they just stay where they are. They stay in their court position. They're just going to stay where they are. They're going to play defense. Well, they're going to play defense on serve receive, and they're going to become hitters in the offense. So what the 6 stands for in the 6-2 is we got 6 hitters. Anyone on the court can hit. Except for the person that you can't hit the ball twice in a row, so whoever sets the ball can't hit it. But anyone on the court is eligible to hit. But an important thing to remember here is the hitters in the back row, they can't attack the ball in front of the 10-foot line. So when they hit the ball, they have to be behind the 10-foot line. So those are some basics on what the 6-2 means and why, what it is and why it's called the 6-2. Let's talk about our rotations. Oh, a key point that I wanted to point out here is one of the reasons that we went with the 6-2, this modified 6-2, is because whatever position that you're assigned, whatever player position you're assigned, so if you're a hitter, a blocker, or a setter, you're only going to have to remember where to go, and you only have to move in 2 different rotations. So let's talk about those rotations. So our starting lineup, we talked about this a little bit ago. It's an offensive formation. We don't need to shift any positions. and that's because every player is already in their assigned position. So one of the key things you're going to keep hearing in this video is we always want our setter in the number 2 position, we always want our blocker in the number 3 position, and we always want our hitter in the number 4. So if we are receiving the serve, we'll go back into the serve receive mode. Now notice that the front row hitter and blocker, they lined up behind the 10-foot line. And once they serve the ball to us, as soon as they hit the ball, our hitter and blocker are going to move up into their assigned position in the offensive formation. Looks like that last slide, right? So this is the position. This is our offensive position for the front, or offensive formation for the front row. We always want a hitter on 4, we always want a blocker on 3, and we always want a setter on 2. Other offenses might have variations on that, but we're keeping things simple this year, and for our offense, that's what we're going to do. Hitter on 4, blocker on 3, setter on 2. So after they serve to us, and then let's say we got the point, and so now it's our turn to serve. We have to rotate, so we rotate. Every player rotates clockwise. So you'll notice that our setter that was in position 2 is now back in the serving position. Everybody's rotated clockwise. You'll notice also that the front row setter now was the one that was in 5. It's moved up position 4. And one of the things that you'll notice here is we've got all of our front row kind of bunched together. The reason for this is every player needs to line up in their rotational order. So when you rotate clockwise, you need to line up in that order. But once the ball is served, then we can put our front row players anywhere we want to put them. So anyhow, some key things to do here to keep in mind that when we're bunching these front row players is you have to be in rotational position. That means if you're assigned to position 4, that's your rotational position, you have to be to the left of position 3, which has to be to the left of position 2. The interesting thing here is you only have to be slightly to the left of the other position. And what that means is if you're in position 4, you could actually stand in front of position 3 as long as your left foot extends past the leftmost part of the body of whoever's in position 3. So as long as your left foot is out to the left of them, you can lean across in front of them. You could be anywhere, just your left foot has to be to the left of them. And then same thing with position 3, you have to be to the left of position 2. Pretty simple stuff. We'll practice that in practice, but just know those are the general rules. And the reason that we do this is because, remember, we always want our setter in position 2, we always want our blocker in 3, and our hitter in 4. And so what we're going to do, as soon as the ball is served, everybody's going to run in the front row to their assigned position, to their desired offensive position to get into our offensive formation. And essentially, as soon as the ball is served, it's going to look like this. Now you notice we had some running lanes there. You notice the hitter kind of swung back towards the 10-foot line. The blocker moved kind of straight into position 3, and the setter kind of pushed up towards the net and ran across to position 2. And the reason that we do that, and we're going to practice that, is we got to do this quick. We want to make sure we're not bumping into each other and running over each other. So let's look at what that looks like, that first rotation looks like in our serve-receive formation. Again, you'll notice that it's similar to our offensive formation, except that our hitter and blocker have moved back behind the 10-foot line. Now you'll notice that I've got these front row players in certain spots, but it doesn't really matter what spots you're in as long as you're following the rule of 4 has to be to the left of 3, has to be to the left of 2. So the middle blocker could be all the way over to the right side of the court, as long as or the hitter could be all the way to the left side of the court as long as the setter is all the way further left. So anyhow, just like in the offensive formation, as soon as the ball's served to us, we are going to move into our desired offensive formation. And that looks just like that. Again, hitter goes to 4, blocker goes to 3, setter goes to 2. All right, so we've just got the point back. Now it's our turn to serve again. So we rotate. Everybody rotates clockwise. And you'll notice that our setter is now in the 3rd position. They're in the middle of the net. Just like in the other rotations, as soon as the ball is served, we're going to run out. Hitter goes to 4, blocker goes to 3, setter goes to 2. I think you're starting to get the idea here. Again, now we're in serve-receive formation. We lost the point. Now they're serving to us. We don't rotate because we only rotate when we get the serve back. Again, you'll notice we've got our setter in 3, blocker in 4, hitter in 2, and as soon as the ball is served, everybody runs into their position, being careful not to run into each other. So we're going to work on assigned running lanes. All right, so after that, when we get the point and the ball comes back to us, and guess what happens? We're back where we began. We've got a setter in 2, blocker in 3, a hitter in 4. So nobody has to shift. Nobody has to shift on this section of the rotation. Now, really, what's happened is we've exchanged who we started with in the front line. They're now in the back line, and whoever was in the back is now in the front line. But essentially, at this point, we just start everything over again. Some key points to remember here is only the front row is going to shift positions when we have to shift. Real important, and I've said it 100 times now, is front row hitter always moves to position 4. Your front row blocker always moves to position 3. Your front row setter always moves to position 2. That's the key thing to remember. So if you're assigned to be a hitter and you're in the front row, just know, no matter what, after the ball is hit, you need to get to position 4 on the court. Same with blocker, you need to get to position 3. If you're in the back row, you just stay where you are. This only applies to front row. Some things we didn't talk about earlier in the video, but I just want to hit on now, is the setter, the active setter, so the front row setter, is not going to play the serve receive. In fact, she's going to stand with her back to the net and watch all the defensive players and watch to see where that pass is coming from. Because the first time the ball is hit, once it comes across the net, whether it's being served to us or if it's been volleyed over, is that first hit is going to be a pass to our setter, who's always going to be in the number 2 position for this offense. The setter's always going to set the second ball, unless she yells for help. And you'll hear her, she'll yell out, help, 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 if it's an errant pass, or maybe it's a little too high or a little too low, or just went the wrong way. She's going to call for help, and at that point, whoever can get to the ball is going to call out and call the ball, and then they're going to set it, and then the third hit's going to be a spike or a hit across the net over to the other side. This is key. This last piece here is we're going to pass, set, hit every time the ball comes over the net to our side. Doesn't matter if they're serving, doesn't matter if they volleyed over to us. We're going to try and make an offensive play every time. Now, we're not going to be able to do it every time. Sometimes we're going to have a position or a ball that comes over that somebody's going to have to kind of jump or dive for, and maybe we're not going to be able to get the best hit, or it's just coming over so fast. We're going to kind of just have to dig for it and hope for the best. Or maybe they're volleying over to us, and somebody in the front row, one of our blockers, is going to jump up and block that back over the net. That's okay, but our primary goal is to get that 3-hit play on every time the ball comes over the net, barring unforeseen circumstances. So that's it. I hope you enjoy this video. I hope it helps you. Feel free, if you need to ask any questions, feel free to email me or give me a call, and I'm more than happy to answer for them. And so before I sign off on this video, I just wanted to say, go Hornets. We'll see you at practice.